It's a conversation I don't want to be having. It's a video I don't want to be making. But there is lots of noise at the moment from different quarters and different corners about maybe Eddie Howe being under pressure after 3 consecutive defeats as we go into what feels like a huge week with Brentford at home, AC Milan away in our first Champions League game for 20 years, and Sheffield United away the following Sunday. We're going to be discussing it in this video, but for me, I'm going to be discussing it through gritted teeth. Sometimes you have to talk about things even if you don't want to. If you're curious Newcastle fans, you know what to do. Make sure you stick around. Welcome back to Black and White Banter, you lovely Newcastle fans. I hope you've just about got over that pretty dismal performance down on the coast at Brighton, which is like a week and a half ago as I make this video. International break, you just have to tolerate it. Trippier against Ukraine, Trippier against Scotland. That's pretty much how I saw it when I'm watching England. Are there any Newcastle players playing? Right, I'll give it a watch. So yeah, it was just Trippier against Scotland. Actually, he didn't play against the Ukraine, did he? That's how much attention I've been paying. But just to help me get over the international break and over that Brighton performance, a lovely little envelope came through the door just this morning. Right, come on. Can I have a pint, please, pet? It is. Posso avere un'altra pinta? Por favor, a Crasella. And I shall be sleeping with that envelope every night until I board that jet plane for what is a pretty long layover. Not the best route, but hey, I'll get there. And I will not be feeding Maggie any more spaghetti because she has farted non-stop since I fed her some of that Italian cuisine. So she's definitely not coming with us on the plane. Yes, I will be going to Milan. I cannot wait. I am going to tick something off my bucket list as a fan since I was a little kid of watching my team away from home in the Champions League, and I'm going to enjoy every moment. But I'm going to try my best to take you guys with me on that journey as well. Very similar to me America vlogs, there'll probably be lots of boozing, lots of random experiences, lots of ice cream, lots of pasta, and who knows what else. So, Newcastle fans, regardless of those videos, whack us a little like if you're watching this one. That does you no effort at all, but means a lot to me. And if you are curious on them, and you like my opinion in this one, whack that subscribe. Go on. Do it now. Go on. Get us across all social media where the content is very, very different, very similar to that little snippet of my tickets arriving that I've just shared there. So go on, give Black and White Banter a follow, all one word. So this isn't a video, as I said at the start, that I necessarily want to be making, and it makes me start to clench my fist a little bit talking about it, that I'm using the sentence, is Eddie Howe under pressure? I get it. And I'll talk about why I get it in a little bit, but I just want to go on record. I am not poking the fire with this video. I'm not opening up conversation to suggest that he is under pressure, in my opinion, as a fan. I have full faith in Eddie Howe, and I do not like where football is right now, where managers have so little time. I understand there's a lot of money involved. I understand it's a results business, the same as most jobs, but how cutthroat football club owners are now is just ridiculous. And Eddie Howe has done so much. He's done an incredible, remarkable job, not only to keep us up like he did in his first season, to then go and get Champions League with the equal best defence in the Premier League, to get to a cup final, you name it. Just because we've lost 3 games in what was the hardest start out of anyone else, in my opinion, does not mean there should be talk of must-win matches as we approach what will be our 5th game of the season. You only have to look back to our slow start last season to know that that shouldn't be the case. But you are a victim of your own success. And Mr. Howe achieving Champions League and a cup final last season beyond all odds, beyond all expectations, and that's literally from Mr. Al Rumian, if I'm pronouncing that correct, over in Saudi Arabia with his millions, all the way down to Mehrdad, Amanda, Jamie Rubin, down to fans, down to the tea lady, down to the groundsman who doesn't even watch football. Nobody expected us to be in the Champions League places. And all I mean is, by saying he's a victim of that, is that what comes with that is, yes, there was a plan with our ownership, no doubt about it, but it was a patient one because they were taking over a football team that was in the relegation zone at the time. There was never an expectation to basically, you know when you're a kid and you're climbing steps and you take 4 steps at once thinking that you're really cool rather than just stepping one at a time? That's what we've done. We have taken that ridiculous step to a level that no one expected us to. And with that, Eddie Howe sets a bar. He sets a standard. Now, I don't think that standard should be increased massively because we have exceeded expectation. That's where my frustration comes from. But how do I look at these run of matches we're coming into? Man City performance, you know, hardest place to go in world football, and we gave them a very good game. They weren't able to play their expansive stuff. I said at the time there was lots of positives to come away from that. Liverpool, we bottled it. Tactically, we were outdone by Jurgen Klopp in the last 15 minutes. That was a really hard one to take. Brighton, I cannot sit here and say any other than it was shite. We were really, really poor at Brighton. And it was an un-Eddie Howe performance that it was massively just unlike us. Some of the things that we weren't doing, some of the basics that we weren't doing. So I look at our next run of matches. Now, the awful run's over. Brentford at home. I'm by no means talking about any of these teams as easy, by the way, because there's no such thing in the Premier League. And Brentford, even without Mr. Tony, are a very, very good outfit. But it's Brentford at home. It's a massive game that I think we should win. We've then got AC Milan in the Champions League. I think first game for all of these players in Europe's top competition is just don't get absolutely battered. AC Milan are the favourites, of course they are. It's there, we're in their house. We haven't experienced that sort of atmosphere. They've got European pedigree like no other. Can we put on a good defensive show is the first question, and then can we maybe... I don't know whether Eddie Howe plays his intense press and style of football. We don't know that. I'm not going to get into that now, but that's a huge game just to put on a good show to ease into the Champions League group. And then Sheffield United away, an away game that we need to realistically look at winning. We are the massive favourites going into that. I don't care what anyone says, just because of our slow start. Sheffield United are one of the favourites for the drop. So it is a big week. And then you look at the fixtures a bit beyond that. Burnley at home, Man City in the Cup. Like, there's lots of reasons to be positive, because this video I'll probably delete. If we beat Brentford, good performance in the Champions League, we go to Sheffield United and get a draw or a win. So there's 7 or 9 points from those 3 matches. Who knows? That's Champions League points included. We then go and beat Burnley the following week. Everyone, it's long forgotten. This pressure on Eddie Howe is long forgotten. So I hope I can delete this video. But I am realistic enough to know, and this is what really pains me to admit out loud, this isn't a fairy tale. It feels like one because of the ride that we've been under Eddie Howe. But unfortunately, that expectation has changed and that standard has changed. So I'm looking at it from a realistic point of view. Do I think our ownership will allow us by Christmas to be in a real barrel run of form and be really, really low down in the table? I'm not so sure. And it breaks my heart to say I'm not so sure. But the gut feeling I still get, no matter how much the Saudi ownership has done amazing things for us, and I'm talking about Hire, I'm not talking about Amanda and Mehrdad. I watched the Amazon documentary and I hear Mr. Al Rumian saying, when he's talking about the goal, number one. That's the first thing he said on the documentary. And I just don't think he'll stand for it. Yes, we didn't expect to be where we are as quickly as we have been, but Eddie Howe has been responsible for that transfer window. Eddie Howe is responsible for the team as manager. They're always the ones that get the brunt of it. The players don't, and that's something I don't agree with, but that is just football. We have to live with that. And I look at this Newcastle team, and Eddie Howe has found himself in a position, as we sit here today, where that run of 3 defeats is the worst he's had since he just taken over. So Christmas 2021, when we got beat 4-0 at Leicester, 3-1 at Liverpool, and then we got beat 4-0 by Man City when he'd just taken over. He hadn't put his stamp on the team before we went on that amazing run that kept us up. This is his worst run since then, so since he took the job. So that's another reason I think that all pressure has been amplified, because we're not used to this as Newcastle fans. We are not used to losing matches. We are certainly not used to losing 3 consecutive matches under Eddie Howe. As I've just said, it's unheard of territory. So I'm looking at this from a wider picture. If poor form continued further down the line, maybe 12 matches in, we've only won, let's hypothetically say, 3 matches. Do I think that the Saudi ownership will be having conversations? I do. And that breaks my heart, because I know they love Eddie Howe. You see it on the documentaries, you see it in the stands, you see Amanda giving him hugs and Mehrdad. The man is an absolute legend already for what he's managed to do with this football club in such a short space of time. But I do think this week we are going in, just put some water on the fire a little bit. And by fire, that sounds like I'm exaggerating a little bit. I don't mean there's a fire all around us, just the voices. Because I don't care what anyone says, owners listen to the voices. They really, really do. And my biggest gut worry about our ownership, and it's the only one because we've had so much good, is how knee-jerk they might be. And going back to what I said about it not being a fairy tale, I look at the Man Cities, they won things under a certain manager and then they moved on. I do know that this model will probably not allow Eddie Howe, like I would love in my head as that fairy tale story, to manage Newcastle for 10 years. I would love it, because everyone says he's not an elite manager. That's the criticisms he gets. You only become an elite manager by being given the opportunity to become an elite manager, and he's evolved so much in his time from one job at Bournemouth to Newcastle that I do believe Eddie Howe can be one of the very, very, very best. But I don't think it's under this ownership as one of the richest clubs in England that will be the model that sees him manage the team for 8 to 10 years, unless he can maintain an incredible amount of success. If, worst case, we weren't winning matches in 5 to 6 games, 8 games, 10 games, 12 games, will there be a focus on his transfer window and who he brought in, who he maybe didn't? I don't know. All I know is that I do feel like this week, more than the Premier League, not the Champions League, is big. I do feel like that Brentford game is an important one. I'm not saying it's a must-win, and I'm staying away from that word. I said that to one of my mates over text message. But the Brentford game has a feel about it after 3 consecutive defeats, which is not good for any football club to lose 3 matches in a row. Is not great. I would like to hope we get 3 points, and I do think it's important to really go into that AC Milan game with a spring in our step. Bit of a breath after that really poor Brighton performance, and then look to Sheffield United the following Sunday, which is a place we need to be thinking about getting 3 points from as an away game. So that's what my thoughts, Newcastle fans. I didn't want to make this video too long. Eddie Howe, the man's a legend. I don't even like talking about him in this light, but it has to be addressed. Is the man under pressure? And on that note, I want to know your thoughts on the comments, Newcastle fans. Is he a man under pressure? Is it a big week, or can we just take a bit of perspective? Or are we past the point of looking at where we were, as a lot of fans will throw back at us? Do we need to be looking forward and getting a little bit more ambitious and pushing the lads that, yes, that Brentford game is very important? Let me know in the comments, Newcastle fans. I'll be doing more videos in the build-up to Brentford with the match front to come, and then, of course, I'll be getting on the jet plane to Milan. So if you've liked this video, whack that subscribe, get your thoughts down below, and I'll see you on the next one. How are you, lads?